What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike here with yet another video. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. So a lot of you know this about me, but I like to tinker around with things, and what I like to do, or I started doing this last semester at college, was I'll buy used consoles, and I'll buy them for cheap, and then I'll sell them for a profit. So in this video, I'm basically going to give you some tips and tricks on how I personally have bought consoles and was still able to make money. So I'm going to give you some tips on what to look for when you're buying used consoles. I'm going to be using Facebook Marketplace. That's the main website that I use to purchase used consoles. So I'm going to give you some tips on what to look for, the max price you want to spend, and things to keep in mind when you're buying used consoles. Also, I'm going to give you some tips on what to ask the seller when you're purchasing a used console, because that has a lot to do with just the communication there is very important. And then I'm also going to show you some examples of some ads that I've made of the consoles that I sold, so that you guys know what to include in your ad when you're selling a console, as well as what not to include, and just overall tips on how I've made money and how you can too. So you guys are going to want to stick around for this. It's going to be a good one. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I have Facebook Marketplace up here. That is the main website that I purchase my used consoles off of. So as you can see, people are selling their consoles. There's just random ads for other stuff that I'm not really interested in. But a lot of people are selling their games, their consoles, their controllers. This guy is selling all this for $150, which in my opinion is too much for Xbox 360. So I'd say the first thing you want to do is you kind of just want to skim the area. So obviously I searched Xbox 360, and in Macomb, Illinois, where I go to school. So this one right here, this is what caught my eye. This is a black Xbox 360 Elite that the seller wants $25 for. And it comes with this Wi-Fi adapter, the console itself, the power brick, and all the adapters and cords that need to go with it. So, of course, I jumped on the opportunity to message the seller about it. And I messaged the seller, and the first thing that you want to do when you're talking to somebody about a used console is you want to message them saying, "Is this still available?" Which is what I did here. And then he messages back, "Yes, it is." So we went back and forth for a while. I wanted to make sure it worked, because if you know anything about 360s, the Fat Boy Edition 360, so the arcade, the launch edition, and the Elite have problems with the 3 red rings of death. They also have a problem with the disk drives. So I wanted to make sure that it worked, and so he actually sent me a picture here of the Xbox 360 dashboard from the console. So it turns on, and I wanted to also make sure the disc tray works as well. And of course, I asked him to test it out for me, which is what you want to do. You want to make sure that you're buying a console that works. And if they're not willing to test it, then it might not be the console to buy, especially if they don't disclose whether or not it works in the ad, which he didn't make it clear in this ad that it works. So I wanted to, double check that, and he was willing to do that for me. So, you got to be aware of that, of knowing what you're getting into. So I do know how to repair consoles, like basic repairs. I can't do anything as far as soldering and stuff like that. But anyway, this ad right here, this would be another good option. This is for $30. It is a Xbox 360 Slim, so that's the one after the Elite, and they fixed a lot of the motherboard problems Microsoft did. And it just comes with the console. So when you buy a console like this where it doesn't come with the power brick, you got to keep in mind the cost of the console is $30. So I might actually try and talk this guy down to maybe $20 or $25, considering he's not including any controllers or any cords, because knowing that I'm going to have to spend $20 to buy the power adapter for this, just for this to turn on. So you got to keep that in mind when you're looking at consoles like this. This one right here for $25 includes everything, including the cord, and it works. So it's very easy for me to make money All I have to do is include a controller, a few games, a couple of hard drives, because I have an extra one, and this one comes with the hard drive. As you can see in this picture, it has a hard drive ready, so I'll have an extra hard drive, a controller, and a few games. I could easily sell this for $50. So that's one of the reasons why I like to buy cheaper consoles, because it's easier to make money. For things like this, yeah, you're getting a lot of value with all these games and all that. But if I was going to try and sell this, it would be very hard to sell this for more than $120. Xbox 360s generally go between $30 and $75 on average, so $120 is asking a little bit too much. So you kind of got to know your market there as far as, you know, your options for selling. So you just got to keep that in mind, especially when you're looking at buying used consoles. Alright guys, so here's an ad that I made. This was a while ago, and I just want to show you an example of an ad that I made and how much money I made. So this Xbox I purchased in December of 2018, and I actually painted it white. I did actually a very decent job, as you can see. I definitely included pictures of all these games. I included several different angles of the console so everybody could see what it looked like. And I included 5 games in this listing, as well as 2 wireless controllers, the console itself, obviously. And then in the ad, I clearly disclosed that it was a white console, came with 2 wireless controllers, all the accessories, and 5 games. Originally, I listed it for $100 because I definitely thought that it was worth the price. I lowered it to $90, and I got in a conversation with a guy. Let me go back to that. And I ended up selling this for $70. So I purchased this last December in 2018, actually 2 Decembers ago, and I purchased it for $50. So I actually made $20 off of this. Now I guess you could argue that including the paint, which that cost me about $10, so really I was only in it about $60, so I made about $10. So I just kind of wanted to point out that when you're making an ad like this, you want to clearly disclose all the information about the console, include several pictures of the console so people can see what it looks like. Also, I included pictures of controllers. So you just want to put all that information out there so people know what to expect when they're buying the console. And obviously it worked out. So I want to give you another example here. So this console right here, this console I purchased for $10, and according to the seller, did not work. When I bought the console, I purchased it along with this console. So I bundled it together, and I bought 2 of them together. The 2 consoles that I bought for a total of $40. This black one costed me $30. Now this black one's a different story. I had to buy the cheapest hard drive I could find, so for $15. So I actually lost $10 because I sold it for $35, given that it wasn't in the greatest condition. I did include the fact that it worked, so people knew that it worked. And it obviously came with 2 games and a wireless controller. There's all the power brick. Here's the console. So if you notice, the similarity between my other ad is I include several different pictures of the console, and I even included the dashboard so that people knew that it worked. The reason why I ended up losing money is because I had to buy a hard drive, and that went into the cost. So 30 plus 15 is 45, and I sold it for 35, so I lost 10. But this one, that also came with the deal with the other console when I purchased it, this one was $10, and I sold it for $50. So I made $40 profit, and I did not have to put any money into it. The reason why this one was $10 was because, according to the seller, it didn't work. He gave me 2 different power bricks. One of them was bad, one of them worked. So actually, I didn't have to put any money into this at all. And as you can see, after cleaning it up, it is in remarkable condition. So $50 was a very fair price. Came with 2 games, no controllers unfortunately, or it came with 1 wireless controller, 2 games, the power brick, the console, and I sold for $50. And it also came with a 250 gig hard drive. which brought up the value a little bit, and I ended up making $40 on this console. So I guess to sum everything up, when you're buying a used console, you want to do a few things. First of all, you want to try and purchase the cheapest used console that you can that works. Once you find out from the seller if they're willing to test it out for you that it works, then you know that you really don't need to put any money into it. Now the way that you make money is, because I already have a 360, I have all these extra controllers and all these games, so for me, I can include those in the, like a bundle deal, so to speak, when I sell the console. So what I do when I get the console is, if you guys are curious, is I buy the console, I take it apart, and I clean it out. A lot of them have dust in them, there's scratches all over it. I'll try and get the scratches off. So I just clean them up. You know, sometimes I'll redo the thermal paste, which will increase the performance. But really, I don't really spend money on the console unless I have to. Like in the example of that black one that I sold, I actually lost money because I had to buy a hard drive for it because it didn't want to like update the system, so I had to buy a hard drive. But I ended up making up for it because the other console that I purchased at the same time as that console, I made $40. So in that deal, because I sold it for $75, I made $35 total. Or no, $25. So I actually made money overall in that deal. So you just want to weigh your costs versus your spending. If you know you have to put money into it, then you're going to have to increase the price in order to make money. So if you can find a cheap console that works, that you don't have to put money into, and you include a few games and a controller, then you can sell that for more than you paid for it. At least that's the hope. So I hope that you guys found this interesting. If you're looking to, get into the used console market and clean them out, sell them, you can let me know. I'd be sure to send you guys some information and some tips on how to do that. But yeah, until next time, peace out.